Hello. Insurtech is the umbrella term for a number of new technologies disrupting the insurance industry. I'm talking to Nick Maynard, the author of Juniper's latest research in this area. Nick, welcome.
Hi.
First of all, please define Insurtech for us.
So Insurtech we simply define as insurance technology, and what that means is any digital technology that an insurer or a new entrant to the insurance market can use to make a more efficient experience either for the insurer or for the customer. So it's really enabling insurers to deliver a more effective service to their customer.
Right. And what sort of technologies are we talking about?
AI is a hugely important one in terms of the claims management process. Chatbots is that's being used by a number of insurers, particularly in claims management and policy initiation. There's applications for blockchain, cloud and big data are hugely important here, and even things like the IoT and telematics are an important force in Insurtech.
And are we getting the leaders in the market pursuing all these technologies, or is it very sort of disparate?
In the research itself, we have an index of how ready the top 20 leading insurers in the world are for Insurtech adoption. And what really came out of that is that there are several insurers that are significantly further advanced than other players in the market in adopting Insurtech. And really what they are doing is as you say, they're adopting it across the piece and taking a sort of firm approach on Insurtech, and that is really starting to show benefits for them.
And what's their motivation? Is it cost savings or fraud issues maybe? Or?
I think to answer that, you really have to look at the issues that the insurance industry is facing at the moment. I think in developed markets, certainly, the problem is stagnant growth. And if we think about it, insurance penetration is extremely high. And that is a challenge because these insurers have always had this source of increasing revenue. These premiums will be going up, more people will be taking them. Yeah. But now that isn't happening anymore. You're to a point where the market is saturated. Yeah. And what they need is to, A, reduce their costs so that they can continue to improve those profit margins, and B, they need to capture new markets. And that means developing a sort of attractive proposition for new markets in Asia, in Africa, and that's something that Insurtech will allow them to do with things such as smartphone apps and distribution via different channels.
Is it really a number of disruptors coming into the market, or is it the traditional insurance companies innovating? Which way is it?
I think Insurtech is slightly strange in terms of this area in that it's a mixture of the two. What we've got is several disruptive new insurers that have, their whole business model is built around Insurtech. And here in particular I'm thinking of Lemonade is a good example, and they're a property insurer which are based in the US. Right. And what they've done is they've made AI and chatbots an important part of their business model, and that will allow them to pay a claim much faster than a traditional insurer. And they've grown quite rapidly on that basis. But also you have these companies who their purpose of being is to help insurers become more effective. And here I'm talking about, there's a cloud platform provider called Guidewire who allow management end-to-end in terms of the customer journey. And there's also a number of telematics providers, particularly Octo Telematics, who they work with insurers to develop what benefits they can get by introducing telematics. So you're seeing both.
Okay, so to the end user, the consumer, does this make any difference? Lower premiums?
I think that there are a huge number of differences. I mean, exactly right in terms of lower premiums. That is a compelling difference that Insurtech is bringing. However, that's not the only one. One of the big problems insurers have had is that insurance isn't seen as something that's exciting to the end user. It's something they need to have, it's not something they want to have. And something that Insurtech allows the insurer to do is form this better relationship with the customer. For example, in telematics, you can use that telematics device to create a smartphone app that provides feedback on how the user drives. And that is a positive experience for the user. But also when it comes to a crash in terms of motor insurance, there's a huge benefit in that the insurer will be automatically notified that there has been an accident.
That's pretty good.
So instead of there being this pressure on the user to call their insurer to, recount all these details and remember to do that and remember what happened at the scene, they themselves are then contacted by the insurer. The insurer has a lot of data that they get. So in terms of impact speed, in terms of steering angle, there are a whole number
You could integrate the dash cam, couldn't you, into the whole thing?
Exactly. So there's a huge number of different elements that all will mean that user experience is more compelling, and that's going to be a huge benefit for insurers and the end user.
I mean, the insurance industry is not typified as a very fast-moving industry. So where are we on the growth curve? Are we early days or how far?
I think, yes, we are in early days in the sort of Insurtech growth curve. And really why that is insurance is an industry that's always been quite slow to change. And that's for good reasons. I mean, their established models do work, and they've proven to be very effective at underwriting risk. Okay. However, what they need to do in order to work more efficiently is adapt new ways of working. Insurers aren't keen to do that until the data's been established to say that works as well as their existing models. So they don't want to be first to adopt, but they also don't want to be last. Yeah, sure. So you end up with this situation where insurers only go for small pilot schemes, they assess that data, and then maybe they do a larger pilot scheme. So you end up with a growth rate which is actually quite slow. Yeah. But in the end, it will be quite effective.
Unless a disruptor comes into the market and forces the pace a little bit more.
Exactly, and I think that is the effect Lemonade is starting to have in the property market, in the property insurance market. That's what's starting to happen.
Yeah. Okay, so turning to the research piece itself, what were the main findings from that?
While there is a premium benefit, it's all about the user experience, and that is what insurers are turning to Insurtech for. They want to form this mutually beneficial relationship with the customer, and that's something that has eluded them for a number of years. And that is something they really want to focus on, and Insurtech really gives them the ability to do that. And I think what we anticipate is that will be the primary driver.
And where do you see the market going from now onwards?
At the moment, we have a market size of 187 billion in terms of Insurtech premiums. We see that moving to around 400 billion.
You're saying 187 billion currently in Insurtech?
Yeah.
Well, that's huge.
That is huge, and that is accounting for a huge number of Insurtech technologies which are already in place. So particularly cloud insurance platforms are huge money at the moment. And going back to Guidewire, that is a huge money position in the market. Yeah. But by 2023, we see that number going to 400 billion. So we do see some quite significant growth there. However, it's important to note that will only represent 7% of the total insurance market.
Really? Wow.
So while it is growing and that number is quite significant, there clearly is a lot to go.
Does this definition include the revenue from the platforms and the premiums, or are these separate?
So we here are talking about premiums. So the way we've looked at it is we've looked at the policies that are going to be underwritten using Insurtech, yeah. And that's how we've arrived at it. And the platform providers' revenues will form part of that, definitely.
Okay. Well, thank you, Nick. That was very interesting indeed. Thank you. So if you would like further details of our research, our surveys and our consultancy services, then please get in touch. And I'll see you next time. Thank you.